today we are talking about guerrilla marketing for your business and innovative strategies to get your business exposure and get the attention that it needs. And I am here with Fred Carey, who is co-founder and executive chairman of IdeaPros. And we bring important topics to you for entrepreneurs, any entrepreneur, but we also have a lot of our partners that watch. So thank you all so much for coming. And Fred, tell me, I mean, obviously we've all heard about guerrilla marketing. It's kind of one of those terms that flies around, but what exactly is it? Before we dive into like what types of campaigns we can do, what is guerrilla marketing?
Yeah, well, first, hello to everybody, and to you, Tess. You got my title right 2 weeks in a row. Really appreciate that. And so guerrilla marketing, it's different things to different people. For a startup, it may be your only choice in marketing. But for even multinational organizations, they use it now too, because people like to be engaged. And if you can engage them in an unusual way, and Tessa's going to show you some example of some of the bigger companies and how that they use it, then you really connect with your audience. So guerrilla marketing is a process that costs you little money, but gives you big returns. For the larger companies, you may see that they made an ad that is really very humorous and more focused on the humor than the advertisement. And they put it on Instagram or Facebook, or they put it on YouTube, and it starts having a viral effect and being distributed by people because it's entertaining, it's engaging. And those are the types of things that you can get away with doing and not spending a whole lot of money. There are other things that are more basic for an entrepreneur with no money, and we're going to get to those as well. Tess, do you want to show a couple of examples of some bigger companies and some things they do?
Yeah, so there's, and just so you guys know, we're going to talk about this in the blog, but there's like 7 types of guerrilla marketing. So there's different places that you can, different ways that you can, that they've been categorized, right? So a lot of the ones that I have are the larger business ones where they are spending money, but they, what I want to do is get your mind in that creative place, because these are obviously really creative ways to look at it. So I'm going to put this one up and make it the solo. So this one is the bus handles that you have, and you actually slide your arm in and picture yourself with the watch on. So pretty darn creative as far as I'm concerned. And then we have, let's see. Okay,
well,
so
that one there, you want to tell them the company, and they took over a whole bus, right?
Yeah, so IKEA actually, whoops, now it left. Okay, so hold on, bear with the technology apparently.
And by the way, while Tess is pulling that up, this is going to be a 2-part series because there's a whole lot to cover. This first half of it on this week, we're really going to go into more about what it is, how it works, and next week we're going to focus on how you can personally implement it into your startup environment.
Yes, actually we have. This is exciting because I'm just in a segue while Google Slides decides to come back up. Let me get me up. The next, we're breaking it into the 2 parts, and the next section is also going to have the about. We're going to actually create a downloadable with 100 different ways that you can market your business. So it's not all, we want to get your brain in the creative place and then give you these solutions so that you can come up with the most effective method possible. Love it. Google Slides just shut down. So well, I can just share the screen here. You'll have to bear with me, guys, because this is going to be way basic version of it. We're just going to share my screen. So this is IKEA. Show solo. This is IKEA that took over a whole bus, basically the whole train, and they redesigned, I mean, everything from IKEA in there. So that's one really interesting. And then they put it on social media. So I think where we're kind of going to cusp here is that maybe you don't have enough money to do that for a whole train, but you do have graphic designers. So can you make something really cool in a graphic form that captures people's attention. It doesn't have to actually be a train. You can have a graphic designer make that scenario for you. So we have a couple others. This one is the one that we showed on our preview. For the ad, it's actually a paint company, and it goes all the way down. This is street marketing, or I'm trying to get all of the definitions. This is definitely something you'd see on a street, but it's also what they call ambient marketing, which means objects are covered in your ad in some way, shape, or form. So, and again, it's meant to disrupt. It's meant to get engagement. And if you saw this and you were in one of the nearby buildings, I mean, it's going to kind of capture your eye. And then it's an insurance company for nationwide about accidents happening. So it's very effective, but it's just how they approach it.
Right. So basically, as she said, there's this artistic component, but guerrilla marketing goes all the way down to the flyer that you might see on your windshield when you come back from the mall. It's basically getting up there. This is why I'm wearing a t-shirt, by the way. This t-shirt says, "Obey propaganda." And we're going to teach you how to make propaganda. We're going to roll up our sleeves, and you're going to go out there and try to influence the mind of people who are going to take your product and run with it. So the cheap things that you can do, or the free things you can do, you really need to start doing well before you launch. Absolutely. And that, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just going to come on with you.
So that really involves social media. There are so many things you can do on social media if you're smart about it, and you have to get involved early on in order to make this happen. Go on Facebook. Make sure you got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of the things where you believe there are going to be people that will have an interest in your product or whatever offering you have. And when you do that, start joining groups. What groups would really like my product? If it's something for babies, maybe there are mommy groups out there on Facebook that you can start joining. Get involved, make more and more friends, so that by the time you're near launching, then it's basically like the same flyers that you put on a car, but it's a virtual flyer, right? You go to everybody who's your friend. Hopefully you got 10,000 of them by now. I know Aziza has close to 6,000. She's been doing this as we get ready to go live with her. Now you can announce to all those people, hey, by the way, I don't need you to really buy anything from me. Can you spread the word? Would you do that for me? And now if you have a nucleus of 10,000 people and every one of them reach out to 2 or 3 friends, and those friends reach out to 1 or 2 people, you can see what the effect is of that. And now if you couple that with art, like the Tessa example, and you use some digital artwork to come up with something really clever and captivating that people want to share, not because of you and your product, they want to share because it's funny, engaging, interesting on some level, and they want to share it with their friends like we do online all the time. That's really the nucleus of where you're going to start your guerrilla marketing campaign.
Absolutely. You mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to point out too about participating in forums and groups. And we've talked about how to build your base and build your audience, but we haven't really talked about going out and participating in those where your customer is, not necessarily with your customer, but maybe there's a forum or somebody's talking about the problem that you have. It's not a direct relation, but you can get active in those conversations, or some people will get active in charities that are not related at all to their business, but that, they can wear their t-shirts and go out to the charity and provide, again, that's that human side, it's that giving, and the charity side, the personality of the business, what your values are, your core. So you can actually do something that benefits a charity and gives you exposure. And sometimes it's as little as like the image that we put on our on the Facebook Live that just says, ask me about my idea, I dare you. It's like what you say on your t-shirt is most of what it could possibly get people to start that conversation and be that cool guerrilla approach. And I have to say there's this one, and I'm going to put the reference in, that I found online that was hilarious. This guy sent a shoe to the people that he wanted to have meetings with. One shoe, he sent one shoe, bought it at like a discount store in like the most awkward size that no one ever buys. And he actually sent a letter that said, I have one shoe in the door. Will you help me and do the other, do 15-minute meeting with me so I can get my other foot in the door. So it's creative approaches, right?
Yeah, I would have rather gotten the shoe size of the person I was targeting, and there's another shoe in it for you if you get me in here.
Which is even better.
But you got again, back to art. You got to be engaging. You got to be artistic. Nobody's going to buy anything from you just because you think it's cool. You have to build this aura around you, this presence around you. You need to engage people, because with a limited budget, that's the only way you're going to reach a whole lot of people, and you have to do so. Now, there are other ways to do it as well, and we're doing just that right now with the IdeaPros Launchpad. We're just getting ready to add another dozen products on there, and we're getting a larger and larger audience. Pretty soon, we are going to be sending the first group out for pre-sales, and then eventually, in the next couple of months, actual sales. So how that works is driving traffic. Get interest, use your art to get people to come to you. Just like we've talked about Harry's Razors a few different times now. They basically spent months doing email campaigns, offering free stuff if you shared the word, and everybody had their own little link, just like you do on in our Launchpad. Everybody has a little link so that when they share, they get credit for that share. You have to build that audience, and you have to build it however you can. Email marketing is pretty cheap. You can buy lists now for not very much money of people who are likely to be your audience. You certainly can go on Facebook and do ads for audiences. When we do our live show, if we want to get it out a little bit, we may spend $100, just $100 after a show, just to get more entrepreneurs to see it and learn from it. And we can get 10,000 extra people, 20,000 extra people with $100. So really learn everything you can about Facebook and Facebook ads. You need to have engaging content that people will find interesting and will want to share. And you can do that on the cheap.
Absolutely. And I think that it's a lot more about connecting with your audience. We talk about this in a couple of our other blogs of ours, that we need to understand our audience and really understand what their pain points are, their problem, and have a solution, and make sure that our marketing is communicating that, because just pushing out isn't necessarily the goal. Like Launchpad, we're actually sharing entrepreneurs and their creative journey. We're sharing, we're taking part in what their product process is to get out to market. So there's more, it's a deeper meaning. And so a lot of our campaigns are about creators, about the people that have invented and built these. And obviously the IdeaPros, has a great graphics design piece to it, and it's engaging. And so that's really what you want to do, is connect with your audience in those campaigns. And that's part of guerrilla marketing, is, again, get attention and then get the important thing about you out there. So if it is on a t-shirt, it's got your website address. Fred mentioned this, like, put your website everywhere. And we're not kidding, like everywhere. So all of your social media profiles, put it out on, when you sign make sure you have an email signature line, make sure that you've got it on, anything that you can, your business cards, whatever, t-shirts, all of it. So you just let people know about you.
Yeah, and there, even with the Launchpad, we have some of our entrepreneurs that are getting impatient. Why can't I start doing pre-sales now? Remember, marketing is a strategy. It's not a haphazard thing that you do. A lot of people treat marketing as an afterthought. Well, we have to advertise, everybody advertise. No, marketing is the lifeblood of everything that you do. If you don't market to people, and if you don't do so effectively, you're not going to be successful. It's as simple as that. So everything you need to do has a purpose. Your pre-sale engagement of consumers has a purpose, and that purpose is to get a large enough number of people interested in you and your product, so that when you do launch, you're going to have thousands of people waiting to engage with you, instead of having 5 or 6 of your closest friends that are going to buy something because they feel guilted into doing so. So remember, time and trying to sit with a timeline, that's your enemy. Do your guerrilla marketing and any other kind of marketing until you reach your goal. Your goal is not to sell. Your goal is to gather people. And as soon as you gather enough people, now your goal changes. Now your goal is, let's sell to those people. But remember, this is part of a process, and it's not ever too early to start. You don't want to go putting out a website like we talked about before you have anything on it.
Right.
And go there and call Latin words because you're using a template.
True.
You don't want to be talking about your brand new product too far in advance, because you don't want anybody to steal it. You don't even know what it's going to look like in the end yet. But you do want to engage with people who are likely to buy that product when it does come out. So you're kind of slipping in there. You're joining groups on Facebook. You're being part of the environment that includes the people that are going to buy from you, and you're going to make your presence known. You're going to become influential by participating and adding relevant commentary. And then as you get closer and closer, you can start dropping hints about what's going on. But again, keep it interesting, keep it engaging, keep it entertaining. Don't just like buy this or else. Well, actually, that's a pretty good one. But just be authentic and be there every day. This is not a part-time job. Get in there and promote yourself, and then promote your product when it comes out.
Guys, if you want to ask any questions, I know we sometimes don't have time to ask questions, but if you do want to put a question, if we can, we will go ahead and answer if there's any that we can squeeze in today. I just wanted to give you guys, open that door for you. If not, then like I said, between now and the next one that we're doing about the 100 ways to market, we can answer the questions or have Fred talk about it next week. So please, if you have questions about marketing, go ahead and put it in the chat. And I have a question for Fred. So while you guys are typing, so you mentioned, Fred, that we should, obviously be careful about what we are sharing. Is there, do you recommend that people kind of document their journey as an entrepreneur, building their product up without exposing, the details that are confidential, obviously, but maybe talk about their journey during the beginning stages?
Yeah, I mean, that's really great. And the stories that we're putting on about some of our entrepreneurs now really go into that journey. And if you think of this as creating this business diary, it's really great, even after you launch, to be able to have a page, how we started, what was my motivation. Again, it brings humanity to something that's an object. And by having that story available, by showing your first napkin drawing of what you thought of originally, you really create power. And that power represents people who are engaging with you because of you, as well as because of your product. Talking about engaging with people, you have a company that you may own 100% of that's worth nothing, okay? And you have no money. Well, what can you do? If you can't get the word out any other way, there are bloggers, there are influencers, and a lot of those social media influencers are going to require money, but some of them will work for a little piece of the pie. And you need to find people who are relevant in your space. Now, you're not going to get somebody with 10 million followers to work for 1% of your company, but you can find 2 or 3 people that have 100,000 followers and engage them and say, look, I don't really have money right now, but I really love what you're doing. I love the space you're in. And I think that your audience is a perfect target for me. I'm willing to work a relationship with you where you can have a small piece of my company in exchange, promote me up front. And maybe it's 1%, maybe it's 2%. It's trivial, and yet you can get a whole bunch of people for nothing, for a piece of paper that really doesn't cost anything. You can do the same thing with bloggers as well.
Absolutely. We have a whole we have a blog and an influencer marketing worksheet, and we have a whole video about influencer marketing as well. So, you know, if you kind of apply that to what Fred was just talking about, you can still use the resources for that.
Right.
So
Right.
check that out. We do have that actually launching next week, and so you'll be able to get those. But if you go to the Facebook posts, any of our live Facebook posts, and there's tools attached, just comment and the tools will be sent over to you. So next week we'll have 100 ways to market your business that you guys will be able to download. So we had so many good comments, no questions yet, which I know when I open this up, then the floodgates start coming. But we had a lot of really great things I just want to pop up on the screen. Before I do that, though, Fred, do you have anything that you want to that we didn't cover? I know that we were going to talk about your ebook, and we didn't have a chance to do that. So I just want to say that Fred has an ebook that's amazing, and there's a whole chapter that talks about marketing. So if you are a partner, you get the ebook. But Fred, do you have anything you want to throw in before we have to leave about the ebook?
Well, if you're not a partner, you don't get it.
Or they can buy it online at Amazon, remember?
Yeah, but that's $200, and I decided just to make it available only to our partners.
Oh, wow. Now it's exclusive, guys.
About that. But in any event, again, the most important thing to remember is nothing is going to happen just because you want it to happen. Nothing is going to happen just because you partner with IdeaPros even. It's going to happen because of you, and it's going to happen because of your dedication and your work and your ability to attract people to you and to your product. So again, in the beginning, unless you have $1 million, and maybe anybody with $1 million marketing budget can make a comment right now.
Let us know who you are.
Don't have that. You have to understand that you need to reach people, and you need to reach people who are going to have an interest in what you have going on. If you can't do it with money, you have to do it by being clever, by being artistic, by being authentic, by communicating with that group in every single way that you can. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of stories of people with little 30-second YouTube posts that are just really clever, and they shared it with 50 friends, 100 friends on Facebook or Instagram, and 6 months later has 1 million views. That happens all the time. Be authentic, be clever.
Thank you so much, Fred, again, for another really, really great topic. And I'm going to stay a little bit after. You guys are welcome to. I'm going to put up a couple comments, and I'm going to show you some of the pictures that decided not to show earlier if you want to see some more guerrilla marketing campaigns.
And don't forget, next week, we're going to show you specific examples of how this can apply to you. And as Tessa said, 100 ways. It was 97, but now
we got 3 more.
Yeah.
We did it.
That you can market yourself and market your product. So please come in next week as well. In the meantime, be authentic, go online, make yourself known. Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks, Fred.
Bye.
So I am going to show you guys just one more that just made me think that is pretty outside the box and inexpensive. So this one is a popsicle. It's laying on the ground, and it's a paper towel commercial. So it says, make small work of big spills. And it literally is a piece of wood, a popsicle, and a sign. And so some things, and people are taking pictures with it. So again, these are street marketing. I know Fred was focusing a lot more on digital marketing, which is absolutely affordable, easy way to go too. But just hitting the streets, and I know we talked a little bit about this, but just hitting the streets with your product and showing people is really effective at just telling you, you getting in front of people when you have it. So I know a lot of us are not in that state where we have the product to do that with. So thank you guys again. And if you haven't already, you can sign up for notifications. There's a link in the post that is for reminders. That way we let you know when we go live. And I appreciate you all so much, all of the reactions that we got, everyone's comments. And if you are doing any guerrilla marketing, or you have any pictures of guerrilla marketing that you've done and want to share them with us, please do so. You can actually send them to marketing@ideapros.com, and we might be able to include them in and kind of feature them later as things on the blog itself. Whoops, I lost my camera. So thank you guys, everyone. We will see you next week at noon Pacific time every Friday, and can't wait to see what you guys create.